Vasislos, it's your German boy here, and welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings. Now, last episode was kind of a slow one. We built a runway, so I wanted to save it the next stuff for this episode, because we're finally gonna get this glider in the air. And if you're stoked, you know, let's roll into it, shall we? Let's go. It's finally time for the test flight. Everything, all our hard work, it's been leading up to this moment. In order to do that, we have to take the glider to the runway. We put the glider on a special trailer, and it'll be towed by truck.
ようやく完成したか。
Anshan, who had brought the small truck inside the school from the factory, spoke quietly to himself when he saw the wings that had been loaded onto the trailer. By the way, we received permission from Anshan to bring his truck into the school grounds. That was the first time I'd seen the advisor, Mr. Yamanobe. As I imagined, he was an honest and good person, but seemed a little timid.
できたよー、ちゃん。
Ageha lifted her head to let us know that the trailer had been connected to the truck.
トレーラーの中で機体が擦れたりしないよう、ちゃんとチェックしとけよ。
The glider had been separated into several parts and loaded into the trailer. If they aren't firmly secured, or if there's any friction during transport, it's possible that they may be damaged.
ここ、ちょっと緩いんじゃない？
Ageha, could you grab a towel? I put the towel into the gap to act as cushioning. That should do it.
よし、じゃあ行くか。助手席はハバネさん。あとは荷台に乗り込め。お前ら、手を貸してやってくれ。
Ageha and I lift up Kothari and put her down on the passenger seat.
私も後ろが良かったな。
And Kothari grumbled a little. I can't say I don't know how she feels. Ageha and I take her wheelchair and get into the cargo bed of the truck.
準備はいいか？
オッケーだよ。
よーし、出発だ。
Starts the engine and the truck tows the trailer along. Here we go.
はーい、みんな。
As we arrive at the runway, Amane, who'd gotten here first, waved her hand to greet us. Anshan parked the truck next to the runway. We jumped out of the cargo bed.
はー、楽しかった
I've always wanted to ride in the bed of a truck.
ー。いいな、二人とも。
I mean, I kind of miss that shit, not gonna lie. We helped Kothari, who seems quite dejected, out of the passenger seat and into the wheelchair. While we do that, Anshan disconnects the trailer from the truck.
達也、
よ、あまね。
すまないな。手伝ってもらって。
なーに、いいってことよ。あいつらのためならな。
うん。
それに、俺だって無関係じゃないだろ。何せ OB なんだからな。
そうだったな。
本当はこいつが飛ぶところを見ていきたいんだが。
Anshan, are you leaving? I was listening from a little further away, but I couldn't help butting in.
これから仕事なんだ。
あんちゃんにも見てほしかったな。
大丈夫だ。ここで飛べばうちの工場からも見える。
絶対見ててね。
ああ。だからしっかりやれよ。
On it. Anshan gives a great big smile, goes to leave in the truck. As soon as Anshan left, we immediately began the assembly. The aircraft is still in pieces on the trailer. First, we put the fuselage on the ground, then we take out the two main wings. Kothari, keep an eye out and make sure it doesn't hit anything, okay?
オッケ
Ageha, Amane, and I lift up one of the main wings and attach it to the fuselage.
風に気をつけてくれ。そよ風程度でも翼は揚力を発生させてしまうからな。
If a strong wind were to blow straight into this, the lift generated would send the wing and us with it flying. After attaching the main wings, next is the horizontal tailplane.
ゆっくりね。ゆっくりだよ。
We carefully assemble it, making sure not to bump it, anything and scratch it.
おー。
There she is, boys. Standing in front of the completed glider, we're all filled with deep emotion. All this work that's led up to this point,
こんな風になるんだ。
it's finally time. It's huge.
でも、綺麗。
Until now, we didn't really know what it would be like to see the full view of our very own aircraft. Compared to the regular planes that we're all familiar with, it looks kind of odd. In particular, the unusually long wings that we had completed the day before looked really unbalanced compared to the slightly stubby-looking fuselage. But I wonder, looking at each part and knowing that in order to fly, there's a reason for all of it, it feels like something incredibly beautiful.
チェックを始めるぞ。
Amane, holding the printed out checklist in one hand, gives out instructions to everyone.
工具は揃っているか？全部ありまーす。
Before we fly, we have to make sure we have all the tools used in assembly. If there's anything missing, it's possible that it's still attached to the aircraft. In such an event, it could cause a huge accident. We don't want that.
車輪の空気。
There's enough in them.
ピトー管詰まってないか？大丈夫よ。それから、
There's a wide range of different things to check. We check for wear and tear on the aircraft, and even check to see if any bugs have made nests anywhere. At a glance, some of it might seem silly, but when we consider that we'll be flying through the air in this thing, we can't really say that. For example, if a bug jams one of the instruments, it could possibly have a negative effect on the pilot and may also cause an accident. That's why we must check these things before the flight. By assembling the glider and doing all the checks ourselves, we're able to gain a deeper understanding of the glider. Amane said that she made some revisions to a checklist made by one of the old members.
じゃあ次はポジティブコントロールチェックだ。
As she says that, Amane gets into the cockpit.
右エルロン。
The rest of us, standing outside, go to the part that she calls out, in this case the right aileron, and hold on to it, making it hard to move. Amane moves the yoke to operate the aileron. At this time, if the yoke can be moved with no resistance whatsoever, it's possible that the couplings between the yoke and the aileron have been cut. If this were a car, it would be like moving the steering wheel and the wheels not turning. Needless to say, that would be extremely dangerous. These checks are also carried out on the rudder and elevator.
オールオッケーです。じゃあ今度は葵くんが後部座席に乗ってくれ。
Okay. Amane gets out and I sit in the back seat. Then, we repeat the same checks.
フラップ、タイムブレーキもバッチリよ。
Now that the assembly checks have all been completed, I get out of the cockpit. Everyone lines up for the briefing.
ああ、今日は風も穏やかで、テストフライトにはちょうどいい日だな。
Amane, who would normally be explaining the precautions at this point, speaks with a gloomy look on her face that contradicts the things she's saying.
だから怖がる必要はないぞ。きっとうまくいくからな。怖がってるの、あまねちゃんでしょ？
Kotori speaks quite tactlessly and Amane freezes up. Zen? She started trembling.
風がないとグライダーは飛ばない。そういう意味じゃ、今日はフライト日和とは言えないな。
Shit, really? Hey, what are you talking about?
ちょっと小鳥、どうすんのよ。いや、どうって言われても。よーし、今日は中止にしよう。組み立ての練習ができたんだからもういいよな。こーら、何言ってんの。ここまで来たら普通飛ぶでしょうが。いや、君たちはまだ初心者だから知らないだろうが、グライダーのフライトには本来もっと荒れた日の方が。あまねちゃんがビビってるだけでしょ。だって。そういう時は手のひらに一っ手字をたくさん書いて飲み込めばいいのよ。やだ、そんな迷信信じないぞ。
She sounded like a kid when she said that.
大丈夫ですって。風が穏やかな方が安定して飛べるだろうし。
I think so too.
やだ、怖い。
Oh, she said she's scared now.
しょうがないわね。アゲハ、葵くん。
At Kotori's signal, Ageha and I hold Amane firmly from each side.
うわ、何をする。すみません、あまね先輩。
It's for your own good.
やめろ、離せ。
While we hold on to Amane as she struggles against us, Kotori writes the Chinese character for person on the palm of her hand a ridiculous number of times.
人こんだけ書けば十分でしょう。
Then Kotori takes a run up. Hey, there's no need to take a run up. Whatever.
やだ、
What are we doing?
ノラ
What are we doing? Rather than making her eat the person characters, Kotori slaps her right in the face. This was just like the kind of thing that happens in pro wrestling where three bad guys team up. Ay.
これでどう？少しは怖くなくなったでしょ？鼻が。
What is going on right now? Having had some fighting spirit slapped into her, Amane holds her nose.
ちょっと聞きすぎたかしら。
Why did you slap her in the face like that, yo?
あまね先輩の鼻が縮んで美人が台無しになったらどうすんの？
This is totally insane. Yeah, you're only just now realizing that? Amane, are you alright?
平気だ。ありがとう、みんな。少しだけ勇気が出たよ。
Giving a little smile, Amane walks toward the winch.
よし、成功ね。うわだ。
What do you mean, yo? Again?
先輩は私のアイドルなんだからね。
Oh, that was from Aga, okay.
うたた。何を二人して。
Kotori chased after us as we went off ahead. On one side of the runway is a huge thing that looks like a household generator. This is the winch. A glider, which has no thrust of its own, cannot fly into the air by itself. There are a few different ways for it to take off. A method using a towing plane is often used. where a regular plane is used to tow the glider into the air where it's then released. This can be done if you get it to a certain altitude to begin with. However, if you don't have an airplane, which are expensive, you have to use another method. That's where the winch comes in. To explain it simply, it's a machine which reels in a rope using a giant motor. The glider is connected to the end of the rope, which is then lifted to a great height to make it take off, just like the kites that are flown on New Year. The difference is that the glider is huge and quite heavy. Naturally, the winch has to be huge too. We're not dealing with something to pull your Jeep back on the trail now. This is some big boy shit.
最初はフルパワーで、機体が地面から約30度に達したら、徐々にパワーを緩めていって。
Amane is teaching Kotori how to use the winch. She already explained this a few days ago, and we'd tried operating it before, so now it's just a recap. Our roles for today are that Amane and I, as the pilots, Kotori operates the winch, and Ageha helps with takeoff and landing, as well as ground control. By the way, the winch isn't as expensive as a plane, but it still appears to be quite pricey anyway. It was used by previous members of the Soaring Club, has been maintained, and now will actually be put into use, so it's been in service for many years up to this point. To be honest, the equipment here goes way beyond the scope of high school club activities.
オッケー、わかったわ。それじゃ、離陸準備に入ろう。
Alright. We walk back from the winch towards the aircraft. It's about a kilometer away, so it takes a while. Amane gets into the front seat, and following her, I get into the back seat.
シートベルト、しっかり締めてね。
Ah shit, here we go. As Ageha tells me to do this, I check the seatbelt several times.
ペダルに足は届いているか？動かしにくい部分はないか？
It's okay. The canopy, transparent lid that covers the cockpit, is closed.
キャノピーがロックされているか確認してくれ。
Okay. I check the lock. If it's not properly locked, it may open during flight, which is really dangerous. Amane performs a final check of the flight controls. Outside the canopy, Ageha checks the rope extending from the winch and connected to the glider.
先輩、レリースのチェックお願いします。
Amane operates the release lever, and immediately the hook releasing the rope is released. Yes, the floor here is made out of floor. If this isn't released, it's possible that a big accident could occur, so it must be checked before landing.
オーケーです。
Ageha gives a signal from outside and connects the tow rope once again. We suddenly feel a lot more nervous. Now the aircraft will fly through the air. It still doesn't feel real. For a start, could an aircraft that we made ourselves really fly? There's no engine, and it can't even flap its wings like a bird. So will it really be alright? I've had the theory explained to me many times, but you don't get a feeling for what it's really like from theory alone. If you want that, the only way is to fly. Finally, we can fly. Finally. Amane?
大丈夫。怖くない。怖くない。
You got this. You got this.
みんなが作ってくれた翼は、私のなんかよりずっと優れている。だから、大丈夫。
Yeah.
さっき小鳥が恐怖心を追い払ってくれたし。
Okay.
でも、いざとなったら頼んだぞ、葵くん。
Leave it to me. This is why I trained on the simulator till I got sick of it. In my head, I go take off. The most dangerous part of the flight is the landing. However, the takeoff is also dangerous, and accidents can easily occur. This time, I can rely on Amane, but I need to learn a lot to understand even a little about how it's done. Agaha taps the canopy from outside.
準備
Amane and I replied, ready? And Agaha walked around to the side of the aircraft and lifted up the left wing that was in contact with the ground, and the aircraft became level. The wings of a glider are really long, and it can't stand on its wheels like a normal plane, so it's placed with one of the wings touching the ground. That's why, when launching it, someone has to run along holding up the wing until it gains lift. Agaha, who's holding up the wing, gives the signal that launch preparations are complete to Kotori, who's waiting far away.
行くぞ葵くん
All this work's been leading up to this moment. As Amane speaks quietly to me. Whoosh! The aircraft suddenly lifted up. Pulled by the wind, the glider quickly accelerates. The wheels bounce along the unpaved runway. Agaha ran along while holding up the left wing. I look at her from the side and our eyes meet for a second.
行ってこい
We go. Whoosh. Wait, that's the sound of flushing. A few seconds after the aircraft started moving along the runway, it felt like it was floating upwards. That was after only moving a few meters. After it started to float slightly while accelerating,
上昇するぞ
Amane pulled back on the yoke. The aircraft pointed upwards. I don't know what the angle was, but it felt like it was a really steep angle.
あっかれ
Holy shit, we're actually doing this. All our hard work and dedication finally pays off in this moment. Whoa! My whole body shakes from the G-force. It felt like the floating sensation equals the feeling of being pulled by the wind. I looked down from the canopy. However, from this angle, the main wings block my field of vision, and I can hardly see the ground at all. How high are we now, I wonder? Being unsure of the situation sows the seed of fear in my mind.
平行線切り離す
The feeling of being pulled suddenly disappears, and the aircraft floated gently like it's been set free. That's because it's been released from the winch. Flying! From that moment, the glider was no longer borrowing power from something else. It was flying all by itself. I've never experienced this before, this strange feeling of floating. The sound of the wind is extremely loud.
葵くん平行策を確認してくれ
I, sitting in the back seat, turn around to see that the tow rope has been safely released. The rope with a small parachute attached falls slowly to the ground. Release confirmed.
よし離陸成功だ
The glider was able to fly into the sky without any problems.
飛んでるちゃんと空飛んでるよおーい小鳥
Holy shit, we did it!
アゲハ見て見て飛んでるよ
Holy shit, we actually see any?
見てるよーすごい。私たちが作った翼が飛んでる。ああやって飛ぶんだ。やっぱり感慨深いものがあるわね。あ、ロープが降りてきた。回収しとかなくちゃ。いいな、葵くん。
We really are flying. This is awesome!
下は見ない方がいいぞ。怖いからな。
You don't need to look down. Please, keep looking straight ahead.
ラジャー。
I checked the ground in place of Amane. We're about 300 meters above the ground. Oh, yeah, I was gonna get the tow rope. The tow rope, in other words, the rope coming out from the winch, was attached to the bottom of the aircraft by a hook. The hook can be detached any time from the cockpit, and this is usually done just before the glider reaches the point above the winch. Even if there's a problem with the controls for detaching it, once a glider goes past the point of being directly above the winch and is pulled from behind, it automatically releases. Once it's released, a small parachute is opened, and it falls slowly back to the ground. If it's not detached, it can cause a terrible accident, so we must check to see if it's been released. As I sat in the back seat, I enjoyed the view from 300 meters above the ground. We're overlooking the city. I could see the roof of Flying Fish Manor, which is quite close to the runway. I could also see Agaha's house, which looked tiny. Ah, it's the school. We're really flying.
あんまり飛んでると言わないでくれないか。意識してしまうじゃないか。
Oh. Es tut mir leid. I hold my tongue to enjoy my first flight. When I saw the glider flying from below, it looked like it was really carefree as it flew, but once you actually ride it, it really does feel carefree after all. However, hearing the rushing sound of the wind, feeling that the wind resistance goes right into my body, are things that you don't get in the simulator. Those things are the forces that keep the glider, which has no thrust, in the air. Even when the aircraft moves down slowly, it doesn't feel like it's falling as it flies leisurely through the wind.
この翼はすごいな。
What's that?
安定感が抜群にいい。本当に私が作ったものとはまるで違う。
It's all thanks to those guys.
ああ、降りたらいっぱいハグしよう。旋回する。
She said as she tilts the yoke to the right. The aircraft leans to the right all of a sudden. Whoa!
うわっと。
Amane returns the yoke to its original position and corrects the aircraft which had banked too far, but... Oh, shit. She moves it too much and then banks to the left. Amane, what are you doing?
だってこれ。何やってるのかしら、あれ。さあ、主翼のテストかな。にしては、なんかヤバげだね。もしもし、あまねちゃん？もしもし、あまねちゃん？
We received a transmission, Kotori.
フラフラしてるけど、大丈夫？大丈夫じゃないかも。
Amane, Amane, calm down! Since a few moments earlier, Amane tried to level the aircraft, leaving it too far, and then back again, over and over.
エルロンが痛すぎて。葵くん、出番よ。
Okay, Amane, I'm taking over.
頼む。
Amane let go of the controls. In her place, I take the controls for the back seat. Double-seater gliders have completely the same controls in both the front and back seats. Just like I did in the simulator. Here we go. I try turning it using the yoke to control the ailerons and elevator, as well as the pedals that controls the rudder. I tilt the yoke to the right and the aircraft banks. You really only need to move the yoke back to the middle after banking, but in this case, it needs to be moved a little in the opposite direction. So this is counter steer. I get it!
どうしたの？葵くん。
The reaction of the ailerons is too sensitive, but it's okay. This won't be a problem. When I say that the reaction of the ailerons is too sensitive, I mean that if I just move the yoke a little, the ailerons move more than usual, which causes the aircraft to lean too far. They're misaligned. If Amane, who's really clumsy, were to use the controls like this, it could be a bit dangerous.
大丈夫かな？大丈夫よ。いざとなったら湖に飛び込めばなんとかなるわ。いや、ならないでしょそれ。地面に落ちるよりマシよ。お、治ってきた。
Phew. Seems like we're level again.
丈夫なのか、葵くん。
Yeah, something like that's no problem. It's a little hard to maneuver, but it should be fine once I get used to it. Okay, I'll pilot it for a while. For now, I'll just fly once around the runway. I slowly turn the aircraft and make it turn around above Tokuri and Agaya. From above, I can see them both waving. I wonder if Anchan's watching us too. I can just about make out the roof of Anchan's factory from here. I turn a little more, and now we're above the lake. Shall we go to the other side of the lake?
今日は気流が安定していて、上昇気流を見つけるのが難しそうだ。
If we can't ride the vertical draft, we can't raise the altitude. Even though we call it flying, in actuality, the glider is continually falling slowly. So if there are no vertical drafts, we'll have to land at some point.
けど、この翼ならいけるかもしれない。
Roger that. If it looks bad, we'll turn around and come back. Shit. I can't believe we've actually done it. All that work and dedication finally pays off.
あれ？どこ行くんだろう？風車の丘に向かうみたい。届くかな？さあ。
The glider proceeded to fly across the lake. The altitude was gradually dropping, but we were all right for the time being.
ケーキは私が見ているから。
Dankeschön. I learned how to read the instruments in the simulator, but I'm still not quite used to it. We just flew straight forward, and after a short time, the other side of the lake came into view. There, we saw the gentle slopes of the hill and the windmills lined up on top. Today, the wind is quite weak, so they weren't really turning that much.
なんだろう、あれ。どこ？ほら、あそこ、こっち来るよ。 飛行機かな。あ、ほんとだ。姉さんって昔から目がいいわよね。しかし、やけに低いところを飛んでるのね。速度も出ていないようだし。
From over there, we saw you flying for the first time, Amane.
あの時か。
That was the day I came back to this town. The day it all began. That time, Kotori was waving her hand at the glider. Did you see her?
いや、それどころじゃなかった。あの日は気流がいい具合に荒れていて、生きた心地がしなかった。
Oh. While we were speaking, we had crossed the lake and we're now above the windmills. Just like Amane did on that day, we slowly turned above the hill. It felt really strange to look down at the giant windmills from above.
ゆっくり回ってる。変な飛行機だね。あれは、グライダーじゃないかしら。グライダー？ええ、多分だけど。グライダー。すごくゆっくり飛ぶんだね。エンジンを積めばもっと早く飛べるのに。どうしてそうしないのかしら。葵くん、だいぶ高度が下がってきているぞ。
Roger, heading back. We can't stay here for long. We need to go back across the lake while we still have enough altitude. As we turn back towards the direction of the other side of the lake. I can see people on top of the hill. There are two of them. They might be girls. It seemed like they were looking up at us. They like gliders, the same as Kotori. While making that up in my head, I leave Windmill Hill behind me. 行っちゃったね。ふわふわしてて、なんだか頼りなかったわね。うん。でも、飛んでるって感じがした。あ、戻ってきたよ。だいぶ低くなってるわね。着陸するみたい。もしもし、葵、聞こえる？ Loud and clear. Now commencing landing. 了解。着陸するって。Well then, I'll return the controls to you. 了解。Nodding nervously, Amane grips the yoke. It's said that landing is the most common time for glider accidents to occur. Because it's going from flying to being in contact with the ground, one mistake can mean it's very easy to suffer some kind of physical damage, probably to the aircraft and ourselves. The landing is difficult when you push the yoke forward to lower the altitude, the speed can increase. If you're traveling too fast, there'll be a large impact when landing and you won't be able to stop after landing. It's possible to go past the end of the runway and collide with something. That's why you need to lower the altitude while keeping the speed as low as possible. For that reason, the main wings of gliders are equipped with several types of lift-reducing apparatus. By reducing lift, the altitude can be reduced without increasing the speed. Even though a glider is quite simply built, there are several different devices equipped for takeoff and landing. 降りてきた！いいよいいよ、そのまま！ Alright, let's set her down. Holy shit. Boom! Ah! Hamane, in a way that could almost be described as a rough landing, set us down on the ground in a way that felt like we were falling. The glider, returning to Earth, ran along for a few meters before the wheel brakes stopped it.
Okaeri!
As we opened the canopy, Agaha thrust her face inside. We made it! Taking off the seatbelt, I clamber out of the narrow cockpit. Amane, are you okay?
大丈夫だ。
We did it. Amane slowly takes off her seatbelt. I get out first and help Amane get out too. It's been a while, well, about 10 minutes, but I strangely miss being able to put my feet on the ground.
どうだった
Kotori, arriving a little later than Agaha, rushes ahead and starts firing questions at us. Well, how should I put it? It was awesome. It felt totally incredible. No other impressions even came to mind.
やっぱり
How long were we flying for?
だいたい15分ってとこかな。ねえねえ、
Nothing.
風車の丘まで行ったの
Yeah, just for a little while. I got a pretty good look at it.
いいな。お疲れ様です、天音先輩。
Agaha passes some mineral water to Amane. The cockpit, that was continually being hit with direct sunshine, was unbearably hot inside.
ありがとう。どうでしたか、主翼の具合は。以前よりも全然滑空が滑らかで、いい感じだった。よし。でも、途中でフラフラしてましたよね。ああ、エルロンがビーキーすぎた。少し調整しないと。他には何か問題ありましたか？そうだな。
While Kotori and I were overwhelmed with excitement, beside us, Agaha and Amane were talking about it in a very matter-of-fact manner.
もう少し飛んでみないとわからないが、今のところそのくらいかな。了解っす。じゃあすぐエルロンの調整だけしちゃいましょう。
Agaha enthusiastically goes over to get the tools.
何してるの？みんな手伝ってよ。今日中に飛べるだけ飛ぶんだから。
It's a test that only just started. And with that, I think I'll go ahead and leave it off, you know? So, till next time, it's been your German boy. Auf Wiedersehen.